Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast, the podcast that is passing wisdom to the next generation of athletes, coaches, and parents to transform leaders on and off the court. And today is Coach's Corner, and I'm Coach Furtado. Nice to meet you all. If you are new here, if you have been here, great to see you again. Great to be in your ears again. I appreciate you all. Today, we're talking about celebrating. What does celebrating mean to you? And so I can talk a little bit about what has been going on in my life. So last weekend, I got the opportunity to celebrate my girlfriend graduating and getting her master's degree at University of Southern California, USC. And also it was Mother's Day, had a nice little Mother's Day brunch, even though it was a day before. And this weekend, I have my sister's graduation in Washington, D.C. So a lot of good going on. And so it gave me, kind of prompted me to think about, for newsletter and Coach's Corner, what am I going to talk about? Well, I want to talk about celebrations as a teaching and coaching tactic to help your players, become better athletes. So why do you think celebration is important for athletes, like learning a new skill or a new behavior? There are probably numerous answers, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have the only answer. I'm just going to share what works for me and what has worked for me in the past. And so with celebrating, a lot of times we often think about, graduation and, these big milestones, and that's when we should celebrate. But I want to give you a quote. What gets celebrated gets repeated. And I think there's, a couple of other saying and variations of that, quote. But with that, a lot of people, especially this generation of athletes, and I would even argue even myself, right? Like that Generation Z, those that, kind of grew up with the internet and social media. And, I would argue that even, to this day, a lot of, people are becoming more accustomed to wanting external validation. And even before social media, we all wanted external validation. And whether you say you want to or not, whether you want to tell the truth. So, but, I'm not saying, and this isn't an episode saying like, this is the only way to improve or only way to learn a skill. It's a kind of focusing on, I guess, the positive, because it's still important to focus on, like if you're not doing a skill correctly, I'm not going to tell you, hey, you're doing it correct. That's wrong. That's not what I'm saying today. What I'm saying is, if you want a skill or a behavior to be repeated, you need to celebrate it. And celebrating doesn't mean you have to go take the team out to pizza dinner because someone learned how to shoot, with correct form, or they learned how to run the offense correctly. That's not what I'm saying, right? Celebrations have to be, somewhat authentic to you, right? So for me, a big thing is I'm a high five guy, right? Like, and when you celebrate that behavior, said skill, it needs to be specific. Let's dive into some details here. So I have two different examples. I have like a behavior example, and I also have a skill example. So we'll talk about the behavior first. And I coach, 10 and under, so some younger kids. And I think a lot of the times the biggest thing that I see, whether it's my teams that I'm coaching or kids that I'm training, is they want the ball and they want to shoot. Right? It's about them. Everything's about them. I don't remember the exact age when you start to think about, people around you other than yourself. But, at a young age, it's really hard. You want to get the ball, you want to dribble, you want to shoot. Right. And so as a coach, right, that's some of the things that I am challenged with, especially because that's, that's part of the episode that I talked about last week. I talked about, team and role playing. So let's say that I want to teach the behavior of becoming a better team player to my youth basketball team who really just wants to get the ball and shoot. So how can I do that, right? When I am drilling practice, what do I want to celebrate? Do I want to celebrate? Let's say they made 3 or 4 great passes and player D, because that's the fourth pass, we'll say player D shoots, all right, and player D makes it. Yeah, great job, player D. No, if that's I want to talk about shot selection or something like that, maybe that's a different behavior. But what I want to do is I want to celebrate player A, B, and C for making a great pass before to lead to that shot. Hey, player A, B, and C, right? You all created that. You all made that happen because you made great passes and you were being a great team player. And hey, that's a nice high five you gave at the end, when player D made it. Like, so celebrating that, just saying that you've seen it, right? Because that's what they want. They want things, and it has to be specific, right? Nice job, ABC. Okay, nice job for what, right? And when we're teaching, we want them to, be able to learn that skill. So that's really important. Also talk about a skill. So let's talk about shooting form, right? I'm a shooting coach, and one of the things that I, want to see the biggest actually thing that I see a problem with youth basketball, and honestly could be even go up to high school basketball. I'm sure if you're playing college basketball, hopefully your shot's not broken, but players will, and here's the thing, like I believe in freedom of shot. Like not everyone's, if you're watching on YouTube, should like be perfect tucked elbow and like that. That's not giving freedom for shooters, right? If you look at Larry Bird, if you look at Halliburton, if you go and look at other great shooters, Ray Allen, Steph Curry, kind of has the push shot, right? Everyone has a different form, but they are different formula. There's different pieces that every great shooter has. And so when I teach that, right, that's what I want to see repeated. So you cannot, and I'm going to give an acronym that I'm learning right now, NATO, not attached to outcome. When we're teaching, we want to celebrate. We don't want to celebrate the outcome when we're teaching form, because so many kids, they can make shots, right? We got beat by a team a few weekends ago who they just shot the three and they shot the ball really well. Well, guess what? None of them shot with good form. They all jack it up from their hip. It looks terrible. It's going to be hard to fix once they get older. That's good job, coach. You won, your 10-year-old league because, you just taught your kids just to jack up shots and they made a few. Like, congratulations. No, you want to make sure that you are learning the correct way to shoot, and it may take time, right? It's the same thing, like I was reading the other day in Mindset by Carol Dweck, right? If you want to pump your stock up, right, you can, do some short-term things, that can make you feel good and you can get results right away. But instead, right, we need to focus on celebrating what's going to help us be successful in the long run, right? So with shooting form, let's say I want to have them to have strong base. I want them to use their lift from their hip, and I want them to follow through. So every time they do all three of those, whether they make or miss, I celebrate that. That is how you make sure that they have great shooting form. All right, there's some little bit of things that, and your coaching philosophy around shooting may be different than my own, right? But celebrating the process, right? Celebrating the habits that are going to get to the results eventually, right? Like that's the biggest thing I see, especially, and it's the biggest reason that I don't think club basketball is the best for, anyone elementary age. Let's say elementary age. I do think starting to get into middle school, club basketball is probably the right time. But I think 10 years old is too young because we play to win, right? Like I've been at, I've talked about development before, and I want to talk about celebrating, right, the skills that will help them then be successful in middle school and high school. And yes, there are some things like, right, like being strong with the ball that, are themes kind of running through that I see in club basketball at a younger age that are important as they age out. But you have to have the foundations first. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm about. I think it's one of the reasons I still can play and play at a pretty high level when it comes to pickup, right? I'm not going and playing professionally, but having the fundamentals, and the fundamentals really help you stand out. And as a coach, as a high school coach, and I know I talk with a lot of other high school coaches, they want kids that know the fundamentals. And a lot of fundamentals are getting skipped in current basketball because we're not celebrating the process. We're not celebrating the behavior, the skill, doing it correctly. We are celebrating the outcome, right? Because when you're at a young age, you can get away with being a great athlete, maybe, and just going straight to the hole and not having a great finish. But when it comes to high school varsity basketball, there are great coaches who know how to put in defenses to stop certain things. And bad habits, they die hard, right? They really do. And so making sure that we celebrate habits that are doing the right way, that's what gets repeated, and that's how we build a strong foundation. So thank you all for listening to this episode. Let me know what you think. What are some ways that you feel like you can start celebrating your athletes, whether you're a parent or a coach, or maybe you're an athlete? What other ways can you encourage that for your teammates? So really appreciate you all listening. If you got something from this, you think a parent or a coach would get a lot out of this, would really appreciate if you could share that, with them. Next week, next Wednesday, there won't be an interview episode. I will be on vacation in Niagara Falls with my family, so it should be a lot of fun. Um, as far as Coach's Corner and newsletter go next week, stay tuned for that. I'm not sure if I will get to it or not. I may. So I appreciate you all for listening, and any feedback, any conversation, right? Like, this is why I do it. And it's been a lot of fun to watch it grow. We got to 10,000 subscribers or not subscribers, 10,000 follows on Instagram. We just got to 2,000 listens for the podcast. So I really, I genuinely do appreciate, you take time, 10 minutes, for the interview episodes, 45 minutes to an hour out of your day to listen. It means a lot to me. I hope you all are getting a lot of value out of it, because I'm really loving the journey. I'm appreciating it, and it's helping me become a better coach, teacher, mentor, leader. And with that, have a wonderful day, evening, weekend, whenever you listen to this. Coach Furtado out.